Adam Caplan's the co-host of the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can find on any podcasting platform or on their YouTube channel. Just search Inside the Birds. The Eagles injury report just released. Out for the game is Reed Blankenship and Bradley Roby. Adam Caplan. That means everybody else seemingly still has a shot to play, including Jalen Carter, Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith, who were all limited today, Sidney Brown, Lane Johnson, Eli Ricks, Slay, Tui Pelotu, and Milton Williams were all full participants at practice. So we'll get into, as we do on Fridays, because this is a very important game, and you got to be at full health.
Boy, this is really good news. So let me explain kind of where they're at with an injury standpoint. Everyone else has been cleared to play. They do not have a game status designation. That means that under the old system, they'd be probable to play. So Blankenship and Roby are out. We knew Roby was out all week, and we suspected that Blankenship with his second ribs injury would be out. He is. Lane Johnson's been cleared. Devonta Smith, he told the media yesterday he would play. He is. Jalen Carter, he's in. Goddard, he's in. Slay, he's in. Milton Williams, he's in with his ankle injury. He's new to the injury report this week. This is a big one. Sidney Brown is back with his hamstring injury. Boy, do they need him, Mike. And obviously, Darius Slay is a big one. He's their fastest corner, outside corner. He's back. Marlon Tui Pelotu is important in his little role in the rotation. So, yeah, look, it didn't look good to start the week with Lane Johnson on Monday, but he is going to play, and crisis was averted there. So, Mike, at least two or three of these players we were concerned about are going to wind up playing. That's great news.
Yeah, big news there, as we mentioned. Really, the big name that's not on the list that was Lane Johnson. We know what he means to this team. Let's flip it over real fast and look at the Dolphins, because the Eagles have injuries. So do Miami. Yeah,
the big one. They thought, and I haven't got their injury report this week for today, but they really did think that Xavier and Howard, their best corner, would be available, and that was kind of the thought process going into today's practice. And I'll have it. I don't think I'm going to get their injury report during the segment here, but they thought they were going to have him, but they're not going to have Jalen Ramsey, who will be starting opposite him once he gets over his torn meniscus, and he's just started practicing this week. So, look, the one thing, Mike, we need to point out about the Dolphins, and it's kind of obvious if you go through their schedule. Yeah, they're 5-1, and they're a good team, but it's all who you play. And look, the Eagles have had a pretty good schedule as well. We're not going to hide from that. That's the truth. But if you look at their schedule, Mike, they played one team over 500, and that was the Bills in Week 4, and they got absolutely smoked by 28. So we're not really going to learn how good this Dolphins team is till Sunday night, quite frankly. That's what this test is. And their one loss was on the road again in Week 4, where they gave up 48. They were awful in that game. Now, they played really good football for a quarter and a half, and then they got absolutely smoked.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, is they have not really played anybody. The one game they played, Buffalo, they did not compete in that game. Philadelphia, on the other hand, has not really played anybody to this level either. So this is a really good litmus test to find out who both of these teams are. So let's look at some of the matchups with Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast. When we look at the Eagles' offense, what stands out against this Miami D?
Yeah, they've got a good front, and they're running the Fangio scheme from Vic Fangio. How ironic is that? That's the comical part about this whole thing. The guy's a consultant with the Eagles. He was around their team not only late in the season. Mosher and I saw him the summer of 2022. He just happened to show up at Eagles-Dolphins training camp last summer. Not this summer, the summer before, which is comical. It wasn't a secret. He became close to the Eagles coaches and front office people, and then he officially was a consultant late in the season. Now he's on the other side. So they know this defense really, really well. We just had John D. Filippo on Patreon. We just taped our weekly Chalk Talk with him, and he discussed it. Look, when you go up against a Fangio scheme, it's heavy zone. Oh, the Eagles, by the way, have been playing more man than they had earlier in the season, but typically heavy zone. And they play a lot of cover 3, which means 3 deep defenders. You got to beat them with underneath passes, and they make you be patient. Now, Hurts. The one issue he struggled with this year, Mike, is being patient in the pocket. Not only bailing, but take what the defense gives you. He doesn't always do that. That's been the problem. He's been forcing throws downfield because, like his predecessor, Carson Wentz, when Wentz was special, particularly his second year, now obviously it worked pretty well, but when Wentz would force the ball, he had a pretty good feel for the defenses, and then obviously he did too much, and that got him, amongst other things. But Hurts this season has just not been as sharp. He's not bad. He's played good football, but not great football. Again, he's got to take it, and this is a game where Goddard against cover 3 should be a factor. Now, I would tell you they have not faced a lot of good tight ends, the Dolphins, so far. But this is a guy, Dallas Goedert, who could do very well against their cover 3.
Yeah, I think Goddard's an X-factor kind of guy in this game. And as we always talk about, the Eagles' offensive line with Lane Johnson back, that could be a big factor for the Eagles in both the run game and, of course, the pass game. They had all sorts of problems last week trying to block the Jets when Lane Johnson went out.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. I mean, as Steve Filippo just told us, I mean, he gives Hurts credit for finding a way to escape because he understands, look, when your quarterback's under constant pressure, get out of the pocket and move. And he had to do that in that game. So get it. Now, here's the other thing. And obviously, without giving a questionable designation, they don't have any issue with it. But I'm hoping he could play the entire game because Jack Driscoll did not take a lot of first-team reps this week. Lane did, particularly the last 2 days. So that's the thing that you worry about, Mike. Will he last the entire game? But, overall, the running backs, I loved Swift getting the ball in the pass game last week. That was incredible, but we want to see it a little bit farther downfield. That's something we could see. Now, the other one is, will Julio Jones play? Now, Julio Jones kept talking like he's going to play with the media on Thursday. And then Sirianni, I don't want to say he shot that down, but he said they want to be careful of what they ask him to do. But, man, Mike, right now they only have 3 healthy receivers. Now, I'm not counting Britton Covey part of that. I know technically he would be their 4th. He only plays inside, and they don't even use him as a receiver. Devin Allen a couple weeks ago got a couple snaps at offense, but Julio Jones right now is their 4th receiver.
That would be interesting to see if he has a role in this game, Adam Caplan. Let's flip over. We're talking with Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast. And, of course, the Eagles' defense with Slay back and Bradbury goes on in the slot. No Blankenship. What happens at safety? They got all sorts of problems against this Miami high-octane offense. Yeah,
and Mike, that's a major issue. That, to me, is the story in this game. Usually it's the Eagles' offense versus the opponent's defense, but not this week. It's can they just make Tua Tagovailoa, their quarterback, get to his second and third reads? Because if they do, that's when he gets hit. And that's really been the problem the previous few years is just he would hold on the football and be a sitting duck last year in those years. And this year he's not. He's getting rid of it quickly. They don't even have they have a bottom 10 offensive line, but when your quarterback gets rid of the ball so quickly, he's negating the pass rush. Now, again, look at their opponents. Not very good defenses. But this one, the Eagles have, I was talking to someone with the Jets who told me today that they had the best defensive line they had faced all season, and it's hard to disagree with that. So the Eagles have to find a way, get their hands up when they're, because Tua, by the way, is between 6 and 6'1". He's not real tall. Get your hands up when you're rushing. Do something to disrupt his timing. That to me is the key to the game here, Mike. And then I know the Eagles are the best run defense in the National Football League, but they've not faced anyone with the speed of Raheem Mostert, who, by the way, is a former Eagle.
Yeah, Mostert and their run game, I don't know that a lot of people know this, Adam. Their run game, 181 yards a game, they have the best run offense in the league. We look at the Eagles and what they've done on the ground, but Miami runs the ball. We think of them, we think of Hill, we think of Waddle, we think of Tua. You don't think of them running the ball, but they can run the ball.
Mike, it actually starts with the run game because the Shanahan offense, it always starts with the run, and you get explosive plays like off of that. A ton of crossers. Nobody runs more crossers than this team. It's because Tua does not have a gun. He's a timing-based quarterback. They've got to take those those crossing patterns away from him. Now, Mostert, by the way, has got 11 combined touchdowns. That's unbelievable. A former Eagle, by the way, is an undrafted free agent in 2015. And we'll have to see how it's handled here. But this is fascinating, Mike, because Achane will not be available. He's on injury reserve. But Mostert's explosiveness is ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And, by the way, he catches the ball really well. Now, another thing to add to this, they probably will activate Jeff Wilson, who's is really supposed to be their starting running back now. He's not explosive, but he was brought over for their zone scheme that they.
Yeah, and I guess one other thing, when you look at the Eagles' defense, their defensive line last week against the Jets, this week against the Dolphins, they're going to need to be the key again, as they are in most weeks, when the Eagles' defensive front gets going. But how should that matchup work this week against Miami? How are they in the pass coverage?
Yeah,
blocking, I should say.
Yeah, they're not great, but again, because Tua gets rid of it so quickly, he negates that pass rush. I mean, I've often used this example. People could say what they want about, boy, the Colts offensive line was supposedly great with Peyton Manning. It really wasn't, other than Jeff Saturday, the center. Peyton Manning would get rid of the ball so quickly he would negate the pass rush, and that's what he's doing. That's why he's not getting the sacks like in years past, because he's getting rid of it so quickly. And by the way, their tight ends, they're going to play a lot of 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends, 2 receivers. Their tight ends just don't get the football in the pass game. They're there to block. And the Eagles know this. It's not a secret to them. The tape shows it. The matchups are actually very good for the Eagles' defense on their front, but can they just make to a move, Mike? Forget about sacks. Make the guy move. If he has to do that, that's going to disrupt the timing. And finally, Mike, I want to know what the plan is. You can't slow Tyreek Hill down. You can't stop him, but what is your plan to not let another 180 and 3 touchdown game happen like he did it 2 years ago here with the Chiefs?
Yeah, and I guess, if you have Slay and Bradbury, do you like that matchup, or do you think that's still an unfair? I know it's always Hill's the man; he's the number one guy in this league. But do you like the way that Sean Desai could come up with something to game plan for him? It's
going to be hard now. Slay's their fastest corner. Hill's the most explosive receiver in the league. The Eagles. This is a game I know they've been playing a lot more man. In fact, the Jets thought the Eagles played the highest man percentage of the season when they played them last week. But you got to play a lot of zone. They have no one who could run with Hill. Not that anyone does. It's just, and look, the Eagles are not good at safety, and Blankenship is out. That's pretty big. C.D. Brown will come back here. I'll say this about Tyreek Hill. If you can't disrupt him, can you hit? Because here's the thing. I know you're not going to press him. But try to be as physical as you can if you could actually run with them in the first 10 yards. Do something. Another thing is, look, if you've got to take penalties, take penalties. You just want to try to do your best to limit the explosive plays. And by the way, Jalen Waddle, do not let him do that Waddle in the end zone like he did last week. That's humiliating. I don't know if you saw it. That was hilarious what he did with his touchdown against the Panthers. By the way, he could fly. He could absolutely fly.
All right, it's Sunday Night Football. It's right here on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, it's Kelly Green Sunday night. It's Red October during the week, but on Sunday, it turns to Kelly Green, and you can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. And Adam and the crew, you guys pre-gaming it at 10 a.m.?
No, we're doing 5 to 7 p.m. at locally. We're doing it. We're doing actually at a local bar, and the reason is, man, we've been wanting to get out, Mike, for months, and we finally just got this deal.
Gotcha.
So Sunday we will be at the Fringe Bar in Delaware Avenue. Cannot wait to see everyone. 5 to 7 p.m. And by the way, the first $200 on me for drinks between 5 and 7. Anyone who comes in. Once I'm tapped out at 200, I'm done. But all you have to do is say.
You didn't have to tell our audience twice. They'll be up there and they'll be waiting at the door.
ITB, say it. I've got my credit card with me. I'll do it. I want to see you guys there Sunday for Fringe Bar, 5 to 7 p.m.
All right, there you go. Inside the Birds pregame show at 5 o'clock. You can watch it on the YouTube channel, but I'd go and get the free drinks if I were you guys.
Got it. On me, brother. On me.
All right, Adam. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
There you go. How many guests come on and say they're going to buy free drinks to people for the pregame show there? By the way, if you just checked into the conversation, that was Adam Caplan from Inside the Birds podcast, and him and Moshe will be hosting that pregame show. I think they do it with Jason Avant and Greg Cosell. It's a really good show if you don't watch it.